Hi everyone, it's been a long time. Thanks for being patient. Got a couple tips for you that I've learned along my way. I love these. They're absolutely amazing. You can get them in any flavor. They help with your food. With these, once you open, you put them in the refrigerator and make sure you keep an eye on the date. But a tablespoon of this will give you 2 cups to 3, well, actually 3 cups of chicken stock, beef stock, ham stock. I add this to everything. My soups, my stews, everything. They're amazing. Anyway, this is really, really, really good. I use this on my stews, my pot pies. 3 cups of water to 1 whole packet of this. I'm telling you girls, it's amazing. The flavor is amazing. So again, for beef, amazing. And if you don't want to use the whole packet, just, use half and then seal it up with some tape. I also wanted to tell you about, you know how you get like hamburger helper and stuff? You could add some chopped meat to that. You could add some chopped meat to that and make your own hamburger helper. I love rice-a-roni. Get a little butter in the pan and you can fry it. And it almost smells like popcorn. And then as you get it a little brown, then you add your water and your ingredients and stuff to that. Amazing. So again, chicken is phenomenal. I don't buy those boxes of, that's another thing I want to say. I don't buy those boxes of chicken stock that's already made. It's silly. 3 cups of water, 1 tablespoon, and you can get a lot out of this. Once you open it, keep it refrigerated. Amazing stuff. So that's chicken. This one's beef. I use that if I'm out of this. And I also use ham. So when you boil ham and stuff like that, know that your ham is already salty. So be real careful with this. You only need like a teaspoon. It's very strong. So how I make my gravy. So depending on how dark you want it, if you want it a real dark gravy, so you add until you get the color that you want. I love it. And that makes my gravy, and some water. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was my pan's on, so do you see that? You can get that at Walmart. I think it's like $8. Do you see how much pancakes I have for that? Girls, seriously. It's got a good seal on the top. You can make and make and make pancakes for your kids. You could add any fruits to it, whatever you want to do. Chocolate chips, make it fun for your kids. But know that I make them in advance, as you can see my skillets right there. So I use wax paper and I let them cool down after I'm done making them. And I let them cool down and I lay them in 3 and I flip it, the paper, and then I put another 3 and I keep flipping until I get a full one. Put it in the freezer. Put it in a freezer Ziploc bag. So I usually make my own garlic and chop it up. I usually buy the bag full, but try not to burn your garlic. So I'm adding a little bit of garlic. I don't want much, maybe like a tablespoon. This should be good. And I'm gonna cut up some meat here. That's all from my garden. Do you see it all? Those are my figs. And I noticed if you pick your fig that's kind of green before the animals get it, just let it rest here on your napkin or paper towel and it will get dark for you. I've made so much jam you wouldn't believe. And this is one of my potatoes, but it's got a nice root on it, so I'm gonna plant it back into the earth. My beautiful garden tomato. And then, believe it or not, I have blackberries, but I haven't eaten them fast enough, so they're kind of getting ruined on me. But let me take this off the heat really quick. So I have to cut my meat first. Do not burn your garlic. Take it off the heat, okay? So again, phenomenal. Okay, girls, phenomenal. So I wanted to also show you that on your onion, you have the root. You have the root on that. So never cut that side. That will be the last part you cut. So you want to start cutting from here. The reason you do that is it will last longer, okay? So if I don't want to use the whole onion, right? Again, keep the root in there. Put it in your container. Put it in your container with the root up. And this will last you a good long while. Probably about like 2 weeks or whatever. I go through it pretty fast. I had to show you my little carrots. I'm so proud of them. They're not as big as I wanted them to be, but they're pretty cool. So they've already been cleaned and washed. They're in clean water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a little bit of the earth on it for nutrients from our yard. But I'm going to cut the tips off and I'm going to put that in my, I'm going to make a stew. And then I'm making a beef pot pie. So, on the onion, if you don't want to cut it all up and you want to add onion to your soups, your stews, or whatever, just add this whole piece in to whatever you want to do and just let it cook down, and then you can take it out when you're done. This way you don't have to chop it up in anything. You just want the flavor. So we'll set that aside. So, on my beef, as you could see, I could take, let me see, I could take, let's see, half of that. So this is a London broil. I could take half of that and cut it down real tiny, little teeny pieces to make a beef stew or a beef pot pie. I can use the whole thing also to make a beef stroganoff. I can grind this down and make some really good burgers, but I'm gonna fry it now, so give me a sec. So I'm gonna cut them about a ½ inch slices. I pray you're all doing well. So remember, I took that off the heat because I didn't want to burn the garlic. I got a little olive oil on the bottom. I love parsley. Nope, wrong side. Just maybe a teaspoon. Some Italian seasonings. If you use oregano, just a pinch, girls, because it's very, very flavorful. And you don't want it to, I'm gonna add a little more olive oil. Anyway, you don't want it to get too strong and take away from what you're trying to do. If you go to my community, if you go to my posts on my, like a community wall, you can see some of the pictures I'm posting for recipes. Real easy to print and put them, save them for yourself. I'm going to add a little meat, and what I want to do is I want to sear it. Add my salt, pepper in a minute. So I could take this meat cook it all down and then break it down again for my stew, like I said, my pot pie. Also beef stroganoff. So, the reason you want to sear your meat, you're locking in the juices so the meat stays tender. So, after I'm done searing it, I have two options. I could put it in a pot with enough water just to cover the meat and let it boil for 2 hours. Do not walk away. Keep an eye on it because the water will dissolve. It will go away and you don't want to burn your meat. Always make sure you have enough water to cover your meat. And let it cook and boil. You gotta let it boil for 2 hours. And that's when you can make your stroganoff and stuff. Don't drain the water. I want to cut my onion in half because I only want half. Just stick it in there. So again, I'm going to use this 3 cups of water, okay? When this is done searing, I'm going to turn it up higher. When it's done searing, then I'll put enough water to boil it down for 2 hours. Or I'm going to use my Instant Pot and again put enough water. You got to put that metal bracket down into that Instant Pot and then pressure cook it for 1 hour. Fork tender, unbelievable. But again, if you don't have an Instant Pot, again, just put enough water in a pot and then let it boil for 2 hours. And then from that point, then you can add all your other stuff to it. And then a good pinch of salt, a little over the shoulder, some pepper. I love this thing because I can grab what I want. When you use a shaker, you're going over steam and it kind of impacts the salt. And I don't want that. And if your salt gets hard, you can add some rice to it, to your salt shaker. And it will grab some of the moisture. So again, I'm going to leave that onion in there till later and just take it out when I need to. So my pan's not hot enough. I really wanted to sear, but sorry about that. So again, high flame. Get that sear on there. It makes its own zoogie, the juice, see it? My father's favorite word. And anyway, that's what you're gonna do. So I could take that much right here and cut it down even tinier and make my pot pie. I'm only gonna make 1 pot pie. And I'm gonna use that. Well, see, this is gonna go for the whole thing, so I just take out what I want with some zoogie. And then I have it for my pot pie. On my pot pie, again, I'm going to use my carrots from my garden, maybe some peas and corn, and I'm going to use my little bit of cornstarch in my gravy master, a little bit of butter and water, maybe a 1/4 cup of water, and just get it going with a teaspoon of this, a teaspoon of that, and 1/4 cup of water, and start your roux, maybe 2 tablespoons of butter. And once you get that roux going, and then you can add it to your pot pie and give it a good toss with your vegetables and your meat. You always want zoogie, girls. Without zoogie, you have no flavor. Zoogie is the juice, see? That's my dad's nickname. He was so wonderful. I just don't even know. Amazing Italian man. He loved God with all of his heart. His prayers were so long sometimes. Just didn't know how he got through it. You know, he would say first and middle, last name. I'd be like, Pop, why do you say a middle name? And he's, because I want to make sure everybody's safe. And I said, well, why do you pray if you know they're in God's kingdom? And he said, because they're passed on and they can't pray for themselves. You have to pray for them. And I've never forgotten that. I thank God for my mom and my dad. They were amazing. I'm so blessed, really. So blessed. They raised a good daughter, and I know they're proud. You know, it's funny. I think of my mom, and she always thought I wasn't watching her in the kitchen. And I know if she could say something to me now, she'd be like, "You go, baby girl." She always called me her baby. I'm a baby of 7. So, again, I'm going to take, got a little on the stove, that's okay. I'm going to take about that much. That's maybe, what would you say, girls? Maybe a good 1.5 cups of meat. I'm going to cool down and cut it smaller and stuff like that. I'm going to leave the onion in there. I'm going to add my 3 cups of water in this. Let me get some good water. I use my filtered water on the refrigerator. So girls, if you don't trust yourself in the kitchen and I turned the fan on, but it would make so much noise, and you're afraid that you're gonna walk away or fall asleep, don't do that. Set yourself a little bell so you know. I'm gonna add the whole packet. Again, amazing, amazing, amazing. So usually, look at all that flavor. Look at all that flavor going on. Good stuff, girls and gentlemen. So I can add my 3 cups, and at this point, then I can separate the meat that I want to use for my pot pie, my beef pot pie. Slowly pour it in. And again, if you don't trust yourself on the stove, get a higher pot. Get a bigger pot, like a soup pot or something. So at this point, I usually use a pot. I don't know why I didn't this time, but anyway, I just wanted to sear it for you. But again, I could let this cook in a big pot with a lid on it 2 hours and break that meat down, get it real tender. I will be taking out my other one like I showed you, like, you know, for my stuff. So that, just imagine that fork tender, melt in your mouth. That's what's gonna happen. So if you don't have an Instant Pot, put it in a bigger pot, boil it down for 2 hours, make sure the water stays above the meat like I have it, and amazing. You will have an amazing meal. This I can do when it cooks down, you know, it'll cook down. This will make it thick all by itself, so you don't have to add any cornstarch or anything. Just let it be. If you want to make it darker, like a beef, darker gravy, add a little bit of that. I'll show you. Oh, let me get the one that's open. And watch what it does. So I had about maybe what? A tablespoon. Watch. You see how beefy it gets? Look how nice. Once it's open, keep it in the refrigerator next to your... I keep my cornstarch in the refrigerator, my everything. But anyway, I'll show you a picture of it when it's all done. Okay, girls? You have a great day. God bless. And gentlemen.